Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Welcome to being here. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya. And the name of this podcast
Episode
is called Release.
You know, it sounds kind of sexy.
It does. Sexy's good.
You know, in the description, we said, have you discovered the trick to releasing your incessant mind chatter about plans for the future or reworking your past? And I realized there are many tricks.
Well, you'll have to tell me what these
Well,
tricks
we'll
are.
start with the ones for the people who are actually listening right now. And that is, of course,
listening.
When you really listen, all of that other stuff goes quiet all on its own. You don't have to work to
quiet your mind. It quiets itself if you get engaged in listening to whatever's going on in your life. And that could also be visual. So, you know, if you're working on a project that requires your visual acuity, then if you're there as you're doing it, not thinking about how to get it done, but actually there seeing what is requested of you by the chore or the activity, that will pull you into the current moment of your life. Listening without judging what you're hearing, listening to hear what's being said rather than apply it to you.
Oh, that stuff. I mean, don't you want to hear, oh, yeah. I gotta remember.
Will pull you into the current moment of your life. And that's all it takes. That's where enlightenment lives.
Gentle reminder in case you have forgotten, or if this is your first podcast with us. Shya and I do finish each other's sentences. And so we've been doing that.
I did very well.
With what?
With what you said that seemed to be different than where I was going. I managed to hold on to where I was going.
Good.
And listen to you, which is very difficult. Because no two things can occupy your mind at the same time. So when you're listening, you actually literally forget what you're about to say unless you can hold on to it. But the problem with holding on to it is it gets in the way of listening to what you're listening to.
That is true. Well, no two things can occupy the same space at the same time is not only the second principle of instantaneous transformation, but it really is the key to releasing. Because if you are lost in your mind's chatter, you're not fully engaged in anything around you. So your senses are really great tools, all of them. So Shya, we've talked about listening. We've talked about your visual acuity. There's also the physicality of being in whatever activity you're doing. So for instance, today I did Pilates, and from time to time, my mind will skip off to, oh yes, I have to make a stop on the way home and pick up the prescription at Walgreens. But I bring my eyes back to the ceiling, which really has nothing going on, but also to the feeling in each.
When you say you bring
movement.
Your eyes back to the ceiling, it's because you're lying on a
back.
Moving table.
On my back.
Yes, as a piece of equipment, exercise equipment at Pilates.
And I can do all of the activities, all the exercises by rote now. I've done them for 30 years.
At least.
But yes, there were little skips here and there. So at least 30 years. But I find that if I'm really there and I'm really feeling, are my shoulders riding up? Are my ribs popping? Like there's a quality of bringing myself back to what I'm actually doing.
Sounds great.
That relieves me. I know it sounds sensual too, because that actually is key if you're having physical intimacy too, because your mind can easily skip off to activities.
So
that's a good start. I have a couple other ideas about tricks, but let's talk about it with our guests, shall we? We'll see if they come up. So let's take our first guest, who is Wendy. Wendy, please tell people where you're zooming in from.
I am zooming in from San Jose, California.
So nice to have you with us, really.
Yes.
Yeah. Good to be with you too. Yes. And I could use lots of release.
Which kind are you talking about now?
Well, there's probably several kinds. But I noticed as you were presenting this topic, and I find myself doing this dance of in and out of being engaged with what I'm doing and then not being engaged. And that part of me that feels it's a normal learning experience that, but I grow impatient with myself because I think I should always just be engaged and be here now. And I think recently, I think Shia said to me at one point, you can't make yourself be in the moment. And I think I'm going to think myself into being into the moment.
Well, Wendy, the voice you listen to, the one that says you're doing good now, the one that says you're not doing good now, the one that says you need to be here rather than follow that thought, that voice is the same voice that takes you off on journeys in your thoughts about how you're not enough.
You said a lot of really great things in a row, but I think I can go back to one of the earlier things you said, which is that it's like a learning experience. But what if it's not? What if being in the moment, out of the moment, getting lost, coming back is simply living?
I like that.
You have the idea that a better you would someday think less.
See, that's your thoughts. That's that voice you listen to that's saying you should think less. That would be more enlightened. See, you got a whole system of beliefs about well-being, enlightenment, and a higher self that you've been programmed with that you actually believe is true. What if there is no higher self? What if it's just you, exactly as you are in any given moment? Would that be so bad?
Well, that actually would be much easier.
Wouldn't it be much easier if you could just be okay being you?
But of course, that whole thought process, the one that plans and the one that tells you to be more in the moment, it is change oriented. That is the mind. So what we're talking about is a transformational approach to life.
Well, let's talk for a moment about the difference between change and transformation. See, change is never ending. It takes place over time. That's the first thing.
And then you've got improvement built in there, better, worse, good, bad, growing.
And you're always getting there, but you never get there. Have you noticed that? You never quite reach that place of, I've arrived. Well, what if you've arrived in this moment? See, transformation is not in time. It doesn't take place over time. It's not something you work into and gradually get better at. You're either in the moment or you're out of the moment in some thought about some future or past.
So let me go back and use the Pilates exercise on a machine metaphor for me. One of the things that I do when I go in there is it's an opportunity it's like a snapshot of where I am for that half hour, because I do it a half hour at a time. And some days I'm very distracted. Some days I'm very fatigued. Some days my mind is quiet and I'm really there. Sometimes like one shoulder wants to ride up and help my feet work. It's really about seeing what is as opposed to judging it and trying to be a better me. But of course, if I notice my shoulders riding up, I'm going to let it relax.
Well, if you notice you're judging and you don't judge yourself for judging, poof, you reach a space of neutrality.
And it releases.
And then there's...
That's what I think keeps me awake when I wake up at night. Is I get mad at myself for I judge myself for not being able to sleep even.
Let's stop for a moment. Who is this yourself that's judging yourself?
It's a, well, it's a non-entity. No, it's a,
That may be a correct answer, but it may not be the answer.
yeah, it's just a voice I've listened to for a long time.
Ever since you developed language. You see, that's the interesting thing about that voice. It's got a randomicity to it, so it looks like it's authentically in the current moment. However, it's a repeat of previous conversations where where it corrected you so the big people wouldn't yell at you. So you've you I say you, that voice has self-managed you so you could stay out of trouble from its point of view.
And then it's got standards that have been downloaded in the background. One of the background standards is sleep through the night good, wake up bad, let's sort out why, and
Fix it.
and admonish ourselves.
Change is about fixing, transformation is about noticing, not trying to change what you notice to get to some idea or ideal that you have been programmed to aspire to.
It's an interesting thing. Generally, I'm a good sleeper. I sleep well, but there are some nights when
I'm so envious of your sleep habits.
there,
Because I watch her sleep a lot. So you got to know that I'm awake for the sleep next to me.
But there's other nights where I'm very wakeful on and off all night. And what I've come to discover is if I allow for it to simply be that way, I'm no less rested in the morning than on the nights when I've slept through the night. Because I'm not berating myself, it's just a fact. So sometimes I recognize that, hey, just laying here is enough. I'm resting. I also tend to drowse off when I don't know that I've drowsed off, and then I think I haven't slept at all. Because there are times I go, wow, I've been up, and I'm like, no, I've been here. Did you notice that I got up and fed the cat? And he'll say, no. So there are times where he's asleep, but he's still, that thought process, I haven't slept, is continuous. When he wakes up, he still has it. So that's one thing.
And the same is true for you.
For me as well.
So she said, I didn't sleep. And I said, I
was watching
half a dozen times I watched you sleep.
So there's that. But there's also sometimes I use it as an opportunity to entertain myself reading a book that I'm in the midst of enjoying.
But here's the other thing, you see. The idea that you should have a good night's sleep is part of the program.
And it's an industry. Well, you should buy sleep aids. You should go to the sleep clinic. You know, there's a whole thing built around it, because we are such first world problematic people. We are people in search of a problem. So if we're not sleeping, we better figure it out.
Why? What if why doesn't matter? What if you're just exactly the way you are for no good reason?
My sister, she used to say that they are older than I am. So 2.5 and 2.5. So 5 years, 2.5 years, and older than me. And there was a period of time, of course, I went through the why stage. Why? And they'd go, why is a crooked letter? What if why is just a crooked letter? And you don't have to figure everything out.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm always figuring things out, and it gets in my way of this experience that
I think you misidentify who you are. You say, I have to figure things out. No, that voice you listen to is engaged in figuring things out. You know,
True.
maybe, just maybe you could give Wendy a break. You know, like not hold her to the standards that you've held her to.
Yeah.
Maybe
that would be
great just being Wendy. I mean, that's my experience of Wendy, to tell you the truth.
Well, thank you. And I'm realizing that this has been my first time really of being in the presence of you two, and the community at large has just meant so much with helping me just to be and get out of this monkey mind, I guess is what
It may
people have
be
called
the
it.
first time you recall, but it's not true. It's kind of like me saying, man, I didn't sleep all night. And Jay says, I saw you this time and this time, and I was up at 2:15 and I went to the bathroom and you were asleep, etc. Because you went to Costa Rica with us this year. We met you in January, and a week later you came and did a couple weeks with us in Costa Rica. And we distracted you from the thing that you're calling your monkey mind with a lot of nothing. And I recall one of the nights where it was at the end of the first week, and the hotel was so happy to have us there. They threw us a party, and you sat next to me. And
I remember also.
you were not working on yourself. It was not the first time you sat with us.
And you even forgot that you were vegan.
Yes, you were just eating what attracted you. You were having fun. You were swaying to the music. Now, your mind can tell you now, this is the first time I've ever let it go, but you didn't notice you let it go. You let it go many times
You
over
see,
that.
you let it go every time you get engaged in your life. When you're fully engaged, you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're just there.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
So
I can look around this place and I see lots of projects, things that I've not done.
Oh,
That
should
but
do.
when I get doing them, but when instead of griping about it or complaining or making it a problem, if I just engage in the task, it gets through. It gets done.
Yes.
And I even lose track of time. I don't even know that I'm there or that what even passed sometimes. It's like, wow, that went really fast.
Yeah,
And
I keep hearing you say I as though you are that voice that corrects you, that governor
compliments you.
that tells you you can't, it won't look good. You know, that if in order to fit in, you're supposed to behave a certain way.
yeah,
Wendy,
true.
you're an amazing, amazing woman. Now, I know when I say that, that voice says, yes, but.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does.
Well, sounds like you're normal.
That's right.
Yay.
I know you think a better you would not rebut or agree with things, but it's just it is like a nonstop sidetrack conversation. It's that a movie.
You know what it's like? It's like the cable cars in San Francisco.
The cable's running.
The cable is always running, and how they move the car is they have a brake mechanism that grabs onto the cable. So the conductor pulls a lever, the clamp goes onto and now you're moving. Well, you have this always ongoing conversation that lives, and you can either leave it alone or you can engage in it.
And it's not like, oh, it started again. It's just comes to the foreground or falls to the background. And both are fine.
Thank you.
It served
new choices.
You know, it served you.
Yes.
You are when in doubt, have a drama, and then it changes the environment, so everything seems to be better eventually. Before it gets worse first, before it gets better. In most people's drama.
Yeah.
Lovely being with you.
I feel blessed being with you both, and thank you for this this day. The release piece is happening. So
nice.
Okay. Just don't turn it into change.
Okay. All righty.
You're there, okay? In this moment,
Okay.
I pronounce you here. Now, in another moment, you can go away if you so choose.
And then you're here away.
Okay.
Mm,
Oh, gosh. Yes,
Great. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Now it's your turn. Let's hear what one of you listeners has to say about being here in the transformation community.
This is Cheryl in Hong Kong. And what I love about transformation and all of the seminars or opportunities we have to connect with each other is that it's an opportunity to discover who we are moment by moment and connect with whatever's in front of us.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
This Saturday coming up starts our, the next Saturday that we're doing, which is on June 7th, starts our Living Made Easy summer hours, 8 a.m. Eastern time. We start an hour earlier. This weekend, we're doing the superpower of being you in Hamburg, and the freedom to breathe is tomorrow.
That's Hamburg, Germany.
Hamburg, Germany. I always forget.
There's a lot of
Hamburg,
different
New York,
Hamburgs.
Hamburg,
Pennsylvania.
yes, Hamburg, New Jersey, in Hamburg, Germany. So we're looking forward to seeing folks tomorrow and over the weekend. And if you can make it short dated, you're still welcome. The next in-person course we're doing after this weekend is in New York City in July. The Creativity and Intuition Weekend is a Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, July 25th through 27th. That's the scoop. Of course, there's still spaces for you in Costa Rica. Should you wish to come, a weekend seminar is the prerequisite. All right. You
Ready
can
for our
find out
next guest?
almost, but let me just tell everybody where they can find
Oh, yes,
all our
please.
courses, or you can tell them.
Transformationmadeeasy.com.
That's it. Let's take Mary, our next guest. Welcome to
right.
being here, Mary. Tell people where you're.
Hello, I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
I love it. I love you saying, I'm from Brooklyn. I remember when it was Minnesota.
Yes. I still have roots.
Yes.
What can we do for you, my dear?
Well, I was listening to the first part with Wendy, and it's like my mind was going, yep, that's what I do. I mean, now I don't quite know what to say. That
Well,
I have been.
I was thinking of two things for you, Mary, just flashed on them.
Mhm.
Is I've been seeing you doing something really wonderful that you may not have recognized, kind of the same way that Wendy didn't recognize that she was really with us at a meal. Like she forgot that part because it's so easy to think you're a work in progress. I have watched you bring yourself back from your enculturation to complain.
Mm-hmm.
And complaint intensifies that mind chatter because it says something's wrong, it believes itself, it talks about how unfair it is.
Well, let's slow things down for a moment. Let's talk about the 3 principles of instantaneous transformation. The first one is anything you resist or don't like, you keep around. That you get stuck with. So if you resist something, you touch it, and in the touching of it, you're now connected to it. And so you get stuck with what you resist. So if there's anything that you don't like in your life, those are the things you get stuck with. That's the first thing. The second principle is life shows up as it does in each moment. So in the current moment of now, we could only, Ariel and I, be on the phone with Mary, not phone, Zoom, in a Zoom call with Mary, talking about what we're talking about. Third principle is anything you allow to be exactly as it is completes itself in an instant. So if you see something that you've been doing and you don't judge it, it's over. Okay. Where was I going with this? Yes. Complaints. Complaints are the statement that what is shouldn't be.
So life shows up as it does, but, and all of a sudden you push against it and you say, no, it shouldn't be this way.
So the complaint keeps what you're complaining about in place. Now, I'm of the opinion that, actually, it's my experience, that people create their lives so they turn out exactly as they have. So you do what you do or don't do that has consequences. And the consequences show up in the current moment. So you moved yourself from Minneapolis or St. Paul. Was it St. Paul or Minneapolis?
Yeah, St. Paul.
From St. Paul to Brooklyn.
Mhm.
Congratulations. So now, as a consequence of making that move, you live in Brooklyn.
Yes.
It's an accident that you live in Brooklyn. You actually did everything you needed to do to facilitate your living in Brooklyn, and you do.
Hmm.
So complaining about anything only keeps what you're complaining about in place. It really is a space. It's like a placeholder. If you don't want to go anywhere in your life, you don't want to create anything new or different or magnificent, then all you have to do is complain about what is, and you'll get stuck there in the complaint about what is. The other thing is this: the only time you really complain is when you're already upset.
Yes. Yes.
See that? Yes.
I do.
Very good. Because see, if you're not upset, things happen, but you don't push against them and say it should be different.
Right.
If you can start living your life like what's going on in your life, okay, this voice comes to you, deep bass voice says, Mary, 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 luminary. You are doing exactly what I wish you to be doing with your life. You happy with that, Mary?
I would start going, that can't be right.
Well, I love that. And part of why I love that is if you can see that that's how your mind is structured and you don't fight the fact that your mind has been structured to mistrust the possibility that you are perfect, then its holdover you will release.
Mary, you are perfect in every way. You're doing exactly what you should be doing with your life.
Great. That's great.
It is great.
It's great.
That the truth of the matter is we all are doing exactly and the only thing we can be doing with our lives in the current moment. I'm not saying we're stuck forever in this moment, because the moment's a constant shift and change, but you have choices. You can get lost in complaining about what you can't do anything about anyway, or you can discover that you are this amazing being, not this little wimp.
Yeah.
You laugh. Why did you laugh?
Sometimes being weak is a way to avoid or take responsibility or not look at something I don't want to see, or
I don't
stall
recall,
for time when I don't know what to do.
I don't recall the word weak crossing Shya's lips. Where'd you get weak from?
I interpreted what he said.
Yeah, That's an
Mm.
interesting interpretation.
Would you please say it again, Shia?
I
No
can't.
clue what he was
I can't
saying.
say it again. It's gone
It's
by.
gone.
But I'll tell you something, Mary. I know your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Your daughter is this amazing woman.
Agreed.
How is that possible if you are a wimp?
Yeah, no, it's not possible.
Right. So maybe
And
you
I
should
know-
use her as your model for you, because she's a reflection of who you are, not the voice's commentary on who you are.
I know that from time to time when Shia says something about that little niggly voice in the back of your head rebuts it with, yes, but my son, whose life trajectory is somewhat different, he represents another possibility for you. And that is the one that you can create for yourself if you can continue being right about your complaints. He's very strong-willed, the same way you are, as the same way your daughter is. He's just using his will in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Is his God-given right.
Yes.
But you use that to negate who you are rather than celebrate that that's his right to create his life the way he wishes.
Yeah, yeah, you know that. Your kids showed up different than each other. Not just because one was a boy and one was a girl. They had different personalities.
Yep.
They behaved differently. They enjoyed life differently. They didn't enjoy life differently. They complained. They didn't complain. You know, they're different personalities, maybe raised in the same family, but that means nothing. Each of us choose our destiny, whether we like to hear that or not. You know, a lot of people don't like to hear that because they want to blame their parents for how they're screwed up. You've never done that, have you, Mary?
Decades, years.
Well, maybe it's time to give that one up, you see.
Well, at the beginning of the podcast, I said there are multiple tricks, and the only one that we haven't addressed yet that keeps coming to mind and bobbed up again, kind of like one of those apples bobbing for apples. It gets elusive to grab it. Is honesty. And I think that people's mind chatter goes crazy when they're being dishonest with themselves. And sometimes it could be like Wendy, who has the misconception that she needs to do better, be better, do more. So in a way, that's an untruth. It could be that you're not doing exactly what you want to do in any given moment, Mary. It could be that you need improvement. And it could be that your complaints are real rather than your complaints are, like Shia said, placeholders that sometimes are things that people use to take a break rather than actually just taking a break. It's like, if I could complain about being so tired or it's unfair or I've worked really hard, then I might give myself an opportunity to rest. But I can't just rest.
That's right. That's very correct. It's like, nope, keep going no matter what. Yeah. Yeah, all of that really hits home. I really
I also think that I want to go back to the thing you talked about, Shia, the very beginning, about your visual acuity. Because we recently were at a surprise birthday party for a friend, and you were there, Mary. I could see there were a lot of people there. It was moving around. There was a lot of different people to chat with. And it's like it's a lot of energy. So to use your eyes to actually register that the person across from you likes you, appreciates you, finds you like amazing. It's
flawless.
It's easy to run from that rather than let it register, which is also another form of dishonesty.
Yeah.
You have an opinion about you that's been formed over the number of years
Decades.
that you're alive, decades. Okay. And that
Mhm.
opinion was formed at a very early age, and you proved it right.
When you were, according to you, small and weak.
Oh. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I if somebody's regard sometimes is a little bit hard to take in.
Well, why is it a little hard to take in? It's either hard to take in or it's not hard to take in. What do you mean
Hard
a
to,
little hard to take in?
okay, it can be hard for me to take it in.
Okay. So, who is the you that you're saying is hard to receive another person's acknowledgement, approval?
The way they register you,
Right.
see you, feel you.
My mind. My
You
mind.
see, the problem is you're smart. Your intelligence gets in the way. You have all these answers and right ways of being that you've lived through and you've survived.
Mhm.
Apparently, you need to be that way in order to continue surviving, to your mind at least.
Mhm.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you can start appreciating other people's appreciation for you rather than think, oh, they've got to be screwed up. How could they like me?
I'm going to go back to your move from Minnesota. It's been a number of years now, but I remember at the time you looked around this house, you lived in it for years, while your kids grew up, etc. It was a lovely place. And somewhere in you, it registered, it was no longer yours. You were ready for a move.
Mhm.
And I don't recall in particular, like, I'm done with this house because you just allowed yourself. I mean, you ultimately did fill in with it's too big for one person or whatever the deal was, but that wasn't the initial hit. And you always, in my experience, or generally underestimate the, I don't know, courage, incredible nature just to complete that chapter or section of the book of Mary, and you got out yourself and you moved and started an entire new life someplace else. There's something like, wow,
Very cool about
very
that.
cool about that. You lead the way for a lot of people to have the possibility of looking at what they want and actuating it without a lot of drama, I might add, contrary to your mental construct about yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. It's kind of what you said. Once the decision was made, I'm going, then okay, what do we need to do to make it happen?
Well, you could use that way of looking at life for the current day of your life rather than the future of your life and look at what you want to do, what you feel to do, and just do it.
You know what's cool about that? You said once the decision was made, I think on your day-to-day life, from time to time, you spend a lot of time wondering whether or not it's the right decision. Should I go for a walk? Should I not go for a walk? Should I make jewelry today? Should I not? Rather than look and see. And I found this really fun thing the other day, Mary. It was like, I don't know, a little saying or a plaque or something, but it said, use your inside voice. And I know you tell kids if they're really loud, use your inside voice. But I was thinking of it like, use your inside voice. Like there's that very quiet hunch part of you that knows things. And when you get skilled at hearing that, it's not even necessarily in words, but as you respect that, life gets so simple, gets so easy. And you don't have to talk yourself into anything, you just know. And the more you practice allowing that rather than negotiating with yourself, the easier your life becomes.
Yeah. Yeah. Just simple things like you said, taking a walk is a way bigger decision than it needs to be. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. This is so very helpful. So yeah. Love everything you've said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Have a
you.
great rest of your day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, feel free to share this podcast with your friends. And if you haven't, you can subscribe to our newsletter. It's awesome. Has podcast connections, has links to videos, blogs, people who express themselves. You can find out about our courses, all of those things at transformationmadeeasy.com. Next week's episode,
Ideas welcome here.
we'll be back next week. So come on back.
And don't miss being
Here.
here.